of his 46th birthday, William Cowsill. 46, earned every one of them. Nicked in battle. Now, we have talked Blue Shadows, we've talked Hatcher and your partnership. I wanted to talk Cowsills because this is Backtracks, and there is some amazing musical legacy and heritage there. The Cowsills, as I understand, were not a rock and roll band per se, but a family that sang and were a pop group. So I got that right?
That's what was projected by the industry. Yeah. However, interestingly enough, going back as far as 1964, which was 3 years before the Rain in the Park and other things came out, and we signed to MGM, we were signed to a rhythm and blues, what they called in those days, a black label, Afro-American label. Our first label was Joda Records, which was Johnny Nash and Danny Sims. They had Al Cooper and Tim Hardin on their roster, and they wanted us, just the four of us. Myself, I was 15 at the time. My brother Bob was 14. The drummer was 7, and Barry, the bass player, would have been 9.
Yeah.
They wanted us to be kind of like a black rhythm and blues, rather a white rhythm and blues band. They gave us Jimmy Reed records to take home to listen to. That's how I learned how to play harmonica back then. And then Shelby Singleton saw us at Sun Joint, and he worked for Mercury Phillips in those days. And he saw us. He'd just come off Harper Valley PTA. Shelby Singleton signed us to Mercury and got us our first chart record called Most of All, bubbling under at 113. Then Artie Kornfeld was an in-house producer at Mercury. He and Steve Duboff were writers. They'd just written Pod the Pied Piper by Crispy St. Peter's. And Artie saw the band, independently produced us at A&R Studios when Phil Ramone owned the place, and brought the master to MGM in the spring of '67, and they signed us. And that's how we got on MGM then. But it was only the four guys. We worked for about a half a year with Artie in the studio.
As the Cowsills?
As the Cowsills. We'd done things prior to the Rain in the Park. They had us doing Come Around Here by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. All kinds of stuff to see what he was a producer, and he wanted to see what we were capable of doing. My mother and sister did not enter the scene until MGM said, "We like the band, we need something."
So, you need a hook?
It was a gimmick. So they said, "Your sister and your mother sing?" We said, the four guys went, "Yeah." Well, they're in the band. So we got signed as the Cowsills in the early summer of 1967, with the four of us and my mother and my sister. I thought The Rain in the Park was a real nifty record, and something to springboard off of into something a little bit more contemporary. It was not my idea of a rock and roll record, nor was it anybody's. It was just a good pop record, and I wanted to play rock and roll. And so we went through several producers, Wes Farrell being one of them. He'd just come off Hang On Sloopy with the McCoys, and he came up with Indian Lake. And I thought that was pretty much of a kind of a downslide from Rain, you know, song-wise anyway. I thought The Rain in the Park and Other Things was a better song. And Wes hung around until he had too many cheesy songs, and I fired him. He said, "You think you can do better?" Now I'm 19, 20. And I said, I'll sell you 2 to 1 or something like that, you know. And Carl Reiner wanted us to do a skit in a TV special he had about fashions from Japan. He wanted us to model wigs. So he had us do a pre-record, which is basically you pre-record something in the studio so you can lip sync and dance around, so you don't have mics following you all around, for the people that don't know what a pre-record is for. We went into an 8-track Scully, on La Brea Avenue, and cut hair, just the four guys and my sister, who goes, and spaghetti, and it sold $2.5 million. So Wes,
who knew?
I did it.
Cowsills were good news, bad news. Good news in that it gave you a profile. Bad news in that it gave you profile, perhaps at a time when you didn't necessarily need it. Has it all worked out for the best, you think?
Well, you know, those are extremely formative years for all of us. I was all of 18 and 19. And my brothers were 16, 15, 14. Everybody was really, really impressionable. And it took a lot. I mean, I've been through therapy, you know, and it's working. Yeah, man, you know, I mean, you know, it's tough. It was good music, and I'm glad, you know, we're in the top 500 of Rolling Stone of all time, you know, and it's really cool. We made our niche, but it wasn't the niche that I really wanted to do. And my mentors, the people that taught me music, like Waddy Wachtel and Moore and Zevon and Lindsey Buckingham, the people I used to hang out with and play bars with in Hollywood before anybody was famous, were the guys I wanted to impress. And this music was not making it for me, which is why I left and went on my little odyssey of 15, 17, 18 odd years. But so it had its ups and downs. The up part was that it was a real family, and we really sang, and it was a precursor to a lot of family groups, as you may well know. The Jacksons came after that, the Osmonds, and things like that. So it started a kind of a cool trend in pop music. And also, there was a downside because for a while, you know, you're not taken seriously. If you know, oh, that was bubblegum, oh, that was this, you know. And so I couldn't get a deal to save my life for the next 10 years, you know, not to save my life. In fact, people would hear stuff and go, man, this guy's great. Who is he? And if it was Cowsill, it was like, but now all the guys that are running record companies and the business are all our age now, so they have fond memories of that, and now I'm in a good position.
Cool. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, man. Way to go.
Thanks very much.
His name is Billy Cowsill. If he comes your way, he won't come as Billy Cowsill. He'll come as the Blue Shadows. Please welcome him in, feed him, take him in, clothe him. Thank you.